And they say, وَمَا لَنَا, and why should we not? لَا نُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ, why should we not believe in Allah? وَمَا جَاءَنَا, and what has come to us, مِنَ الْحَقِّ, of the truth. Meaning, what is the reason that we should not believe in Allah? Why should we not believe in Allah? When the truth is so clear, when the Qur'an is so clear, when the truth is so obvious, why should we not accept? There is nothing to prevent me. There is nothing to stop me. And who do they say this to? Either it is that they say this to themselves in their hearts, because whenever a person wishes to take such a big step, what happens? What happens? He is reluctant. So over here they're telling themselves that why should we not accept the truth when it's so obvious? Why should we not believe in our Lord? I mean, the Qur'an is telling us to believe in Allah. The Qur'an is telling us to believe in the Day of Judgment, to believe in the prophets of Allah, the righteous men. The Qur'an is telling us to do certain things, and this is something that is acceptable to me. So, there's no reason as to why I should stay away from believing in the Qur'an. So they say this either to themselves, or they say this to those people who criticize them. Those people who criticize them for their iman. That when people begin to oppose them for becoming Muslim, for accepting Islam, this is a response that they give. That, why shouldn't I be a Muslim? It's like if somebody asks you, why are you a Muslim? You're like, why not? Similarly, وَمَا لَنَا, why shouldn't we be Muslim? Why should we not believe in Allah? وَمَا جَاءَنَا مِنَ الْحَقِّ, and why should we not believe in the truth that has come to us? وَنَطْمَعُ, while we hope, أَن يُدْخِلَنَا رَبَّنَا مَعَ الْقَوْمِ الصَّالِحِينَ, while we hope that our Lord is going to admit us, where? مَعَ الْقَوْمِ الصَّالِحِينَ, in the company of the righteous people. Notice the word نَطْمَعُ. نَطْمَعُ is from the root letters طَا مِيم عَيْن. And طَمَع is to desire, is basically used for a very strong desire that a person has in his heart. A very strong desire, intense hope and longing for something. So, نَطْمَعُ, this is our hope. This is our wish. This is what we long for. This is what we yearn for. That we want some way of getting into Jannah. And if this is the way, then why should I stay behind from it? لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ وَمَنْ يُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ الْجَنَّةِ. So, if we know that this is the path that takes a person to Jannah, why should I not accept it? Because I wish to go to Jannah. I yearn to go to Jannah. أَن يُدْخِلَنَا رَبَّنَا مَعَ الْقَوْمِ الصَّالِحِينَ. And who are the Salihin? The righteous ones, whether they are among the prophets, or the other believers, or the martyrs. So what do we learn from this ayah? That when the truth is clear to a person, then he should not delay or hesitate in accepting it. Because over here they're saying, why should we not? Meaning we should do it right away. So when the truth is clear to a person, he should not delay or hesitate in accepting it. We also learn from this ayat that a person should hope for entry in Jannah. Meaning he should be positive, he should pray for it. But he should never think that, yes, I'm definitely going to Jannah. Because if a person thinks like that, then what happens? What happens? He becomes careless in his actions. Because he thinks, yes, I'm going there anyway, so no problem if I leave this. No problem if I don't do this. No problem if I do this. So he becomes negligent in his actions. Then we also learn from this ayah about the importance of being with the righteous ones. The importance of being in the righteous company. Because if a person is with the righteous people, then he will develop righteousness. Remember, your company is always going to affect you. Always. If you want to develop good habits, then stay with those people who have those good habits. If you want to develop a particular characteristic in yourself, then be in the company of those people who have that good characteristic. Because automatically, your friends, your company is going to affect you. We also learn from this ayah about the importance of Iman. Because they say that, why should we not believe in Allah? Iman is so important that there is no reason to stop us from accepting Iman. It is so important. It is so necessary. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَثَابَهُمُ اللَّهُ بِمَا قَالُوا. So Allah rewarded them for what they have said. Notice over here, Allah is rewarding them for words that they uttered. بِمَا قَالُوا. Some words are so precious. Some statements are so good. They are so beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that a person says those words and Allah rewards him with Jannah. فَأَثَابَهُمُ اللَّهُ بِمَا قَالُوا جَنَّاتٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ. Why are they getting Jannah? Because of what they said. So some words are so good, they're so beloved to Allah, that a person is promised Jannah. And on the other hand, some words are so bad, they're so negative, they're so hated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that a person utters them and he would fall in hellfire. فَأَثَابَهُمُ اللَّهُ بِمَا قَالُوا جَنَّاتٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ. Now what is the statement that they said? What are the words that they said? They announced their Iman. They announced their Iman. And they also made some du'as. They also made some prayers. That write us amongst those who are shahideen. Keep us in the company of those who are salihin. So these du'as that they made, as a result of them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants them what? Jannatin tajri min tahtiha al-anhar. And in these jannat, khalidina fiha, they'll be abiding there eternally. وَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And that is the reward of those people who do ihsan. That is the reward of those people who do ihsan. So what do we learn from this ayah? First of all, the importance of the words that we utter. The importance of the words that we say. Keep a check on every word that you say. The other day somebody was yelling at another person, and the person who was being yelled at, he said, hear yourself, listen to yourself. Because they were yelling at them. They're like, listen to your own words. What are you saying to me? And sometimes, if we just stop and try to listen to the words that we're saying to other people, even we would be embarrassed. We need to hear our words. We need to hear our tone. We need to see our expressions and see how we talk to other people. In what way we address them. Because sometimes they're so harsh that they can shatter a person completely. They can tear him up completely. They can destroy him completely. It can ruin a relationship. Sever it completely. And on the other hand, some words, they can be so effective, so kind, so affectionate, that they can mend people who are broken up. They can mend their hearts. They can put their hearts back together who are broken up. So, first of all, we learn about the importance of the words that we utter. That some words, they can earn a person a lot of reward. And some words, they can bring a person a lot of punishment, a lot of anger and upsetness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, we learn from here about ihsan, about the immense reward of those people who do ihsan. And that ihsan includes ihsan through speech. Because over here you see, their qawl is mentioned, that this is what they say. And at the end, they're described as muhsineen, because of what they have said. So ihsan includes ihsan through actions. We think that ihsan is only being generous to someone. We think ihsan is just giving some charity, giving a gift, giving some money, financially supporting someone. No, ihsan is also in words. Remember that ihsan is towards Allah and it's also towards people. What is ihsan towards Allah? That a person worships Allah as though he can see Him. And if he cannot do that, then he should remember that Allah is watching him. And when a person has this consciousness that Allah is watching me, then automatically it's going to bring quality in his actions, because ihsan is beauty, quality. So automatically it's going to bring beauty and quality in his actions. Whatever he's going to do, he's going to do it properly. Why? Because my Rabb is watching me. And the second type of ihsan is ihsan towards the people. That a person treats them well. And how is that done? Through words. For instance, good speech, kind speech, good advice. Then it's also done through actions. Like for instance, helping someone, physically helping someone, opening the door for someone, holding their bag for them, sharing your lunch with someone. This is what? Ihsan through actions. Sometimes we become so desensitized that people are struggling right before us. There's a person who is working all by himself, and we don't have the heart to ask them if they need help. We don't have the heart to go and help them and assist them, carry one of their bags for them. Ihsan towards people is to physically help them, through actions help them. Through actions be generous towards them, cooperate with them, assist them, show your kindness to them. And we see that sometimes the mothers, they're standing in the kitchen working, cooking, and children, they're just watching television, or they're sitting, they're talking on the phone, and that's it. And the poor mother, she's been there all day, she's much older than you, she's suffering from illness that you're not suffering from. She has to look after you, she has to look after herself, she has to look after her husband, she has to look after her work as well. And you're so hard-hearted that you see the mother, but still you don't have compassion. That no, this is not my job, I don't cook, my mother cooks. This is what we think generally, that this is not my duty. This is not my work, therefore I'm not going to help them. I'm not going to assist them. I'm only going to do what I'm required to do. Our religion teaches us ihsan. That you do that even what you're not obligated to do. Meaning even that which is not your duty. Even if it's not defined in your job description. Even then, if you see someone who needs help, it is your duty to help them. And ihsan is also done how? Through wealth, that a person financially supports someone. And ihsan is also through jah, meaning through a person's status. Like for example, writing a reference letter for someone. Giving them a link, giving them the number of someone who can help them, who can work with them. So, وَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, that is a reward of those people who do ihsan. وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. But on the other hand, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, and those people who disbelieve, وَكَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا, and they deny our verses. Meaning they see the truth, but still what do? Reject it. They deny it. وَكَذَّبُوا, and they call that truth a lie. أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْجَحِيمِ, then such people are who? Companions, they are inmates of the blazing fire. Notice over here, kufr is mentioned and takdeeb is mentioned. What's the difference between the two? Kufr is to deny, in the sense that a person rejects a command. A person rejects a command. That he says, this command in Islam, I'm not going to accept it. I'm not going to do it. I reject it. I refuse it. Like for example, salat. What is it? It's an obligation. A person says there's no salat in Islam. There's no prayer. Nothing like that. This is what? Denying a command. And kadhabu, takdeeb, is to deny the khabr. Meaning it is to not confirm the truthfulness of something. Do not confirm the truthfulness of something that is a part of deen. For example, a person says, there is no day of judgment. What does that mean? He is denying the coming of the day of judgment, so he is not affirming the truthfulness of something that is a major part of deen. So what is kufr? That a person denies an amr, a command. And what is takdeeb? That a person denies a khabr. So those people who do kufr and takdeeb of the ayat of Allah, such people are the ashabul jahim. So what do we learn from this ayat? That kufr and takdeeb, where do they take a person? They make a person an inmate of the hellfire. We'll listen to the recitation of the ayat.
What?
Okay, who would like to share their reflection?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I was just thinking about it when we were reading the ayah about how the Christians, they cried over when they heard the Quran and how they affirmed the truth. I was thinking about time during Tarawih, and we were praying Salah and the Imam was leading us and he was crying for a lot. And later on, after the Tarawih had ended, a lot of people started complaining, well, why is the Imam crying? Why is he crying? Why is it crying? And I was just thinking, why wouldn't he cry? This is the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you came here just to pray Tarawih really quickly, then there was no point in coming to pray Tarawih. So if the Quran doesn't affect you as a person, then what is stopping you? What is wrong with you? You have to check yourself. That's
Exactly.
I was just sharing an incident in my philosophy class that we had. It was basically a class of non-believers and atheists or people who had once been believers. And there was a Christian girl in my class who was like practicing Christian. And we were always sort of managed to be on the same side. So she was like my biggest supporter when someone would attack religion or the belief in Jannah or something like that. And I always noticed that people who didn't believe or people who were like sort of believers and sort of not, they were sort of more like ready to fight over something, where she was more willing to listen and be like, yeah, that's in my religion too. So this shows you a practical example.
I was just noticing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is informing us that these people, in them they are qissīn and ruhban, and they are more closer to you in affection. And I was really overwhelmed that Allah is informing that they have an affection for us. What is our job then? We should have the same kind of affection for them, and it's not the matter of words only. We have to prove. We need to do a kind of ihsan. So we just learn about the ihsan as well. Be a part of it. Do something. So they're really, really working hard. Qissīn means they're really spending their whole nights to do the ibadah, to try to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and on the end it's going to be wasted. This is not the thing like this. Yeah, so do some, try to put more effort to do dawah as much as you can.
Assalamu alaikum. I was just remembering a time when my friend was telling me when she was in high school, she's a revert, that in her MSA they were having like a little gathering, and so they were talking about Islam, and once she heard the Qur'ani on the translation, she's like, oh, I have to believe in this or else I'm going to get in trouble, like with Allah. And so I'm like, subhanAllah, how like non-Muslims are so like ready to believe in like Muslims that are born Muslims. They don't even like accept anything.
I think the problem is with us. We are hesitant. We don't have the guts. We don't have the confidence to present the truth to them. I mean, what are they going to say? No, thank you? So what? I mean, you offer food to somebody and they say, no, thank you. Do you feel, oh, I'm never going to offer food to anybody again? You don't do that. So, really, what are they going to say? You know that they are very kind, very affectionate, very loving. So, why not take the opportunity?
Assalamu alaikum. I remember one time I used to have like this notebook, and like whenever I'd be mad or very angry, I wouldn't say anything to the person I was angry at, but I would write all my feelings on that piece of paper. And then after, when I would calm down, I would come back and read what I wrote. And then, subhanAllah, you're like, oh wow, did I actually write this? Like, you're not in your right state of mind when you're angry, so it's like really important to know what you're saying. Like, it's like when you're speaking, it's always good to speak good and like not speak bad, because you're not in your right state of mind when you're talking. That's why, subhanAllah.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. I remember when I embraced Islam 10 years ago, and for 5 years I was practicing Islam, but I didn't think that I was right because of ignorance. Like, when I decided to study Quran now, like, every time I see something, it was just like it was easy for me to obey. It's like, oh my God, this is the truth now. What do I do? So everything has changed, like, because every time people would tell me, oh, you gotta change this, you gotta change that, I was like, you know what, Allah and I are like this, like, we don't, I don't do that stuff, right? But when I actually read it and it was like speaking to me, that's when I realized that I had to obey.
Because then this is the words of Allah. It's not a person telling me something, it's Allah telling me something. So again, it shows us that we must use the Quran when we're doing dawah.
Assalamu alaikum. I remember yesterday learning about having the importance of good intentions.
So like with the Christians, at least they had good intentions, that they wanted to please God, even though they had a concept that was wrong, they had a goal. So that's why at least it was easy for them to accept the truth. But unlike the Jews or the mushrikeen, they didn't have good intention. They maybe did it for like worldly benefits or something that was wrong. So that's what they were like arrogant, and it didn't benefit them when they heard the Quran or not. So now like it's scary for us, like what is our intention when we learn the Quran? Are we going to benefit from it or not?
Assalamu alaikum. Yesterday we were learning about Christmas, right? So when I went home, I started surfing the internet about Christianity, and then it led me to a Jewish website, and the man, he wrote an article about, the real roots of the Christmas and the practices. And then as I went along, I read some other articles, and I noticed like how close, what they practice and what we practice, like how similar it is. At the same time, they're farther than us, than the Christians themselves. So the same thing that led Shaitan out of Jannah and the company of the angels, that he was arrogant. So when we listen to the truth, and we should avoid arrogance.